Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unsupervised Consequences. I'm your host, Dino the Genetic Marvel. This is a chronicling of me changing the direction of my life and my future. I started this off with the intent of just explaining how I went from over 450 pounds to now under 280 pounds, which is a lot, but here I am, and we're discussing all the aspects of how this plays out. John, you're a legend. I paso a-okay, buddy. And thank you. That means a world to me. Thank you so much for sharing. And honestly, anyone else who is watching, please don't hesitate if you feel that this would benefit someone else. By all means, share it. It's greatly appreciated. And in all honesty, I am just trying to, from my perspective, I feel like I'm just trying to share some good information with everybody that it's about time we get. So today, I ended a fast. I did 121 hours. It was supposed to be 120, but my wife got home at 5, and anyway, so it's 121 hours. Um, I feel great. I got below 208. I was 279.8. So I was just underneath 280 pounds, which, if for anyone else who's following this, when I came back from vacation, which was 20 days ago, um, I weighed in at 306.5, I believe, and with that, it resulted in, yeah. So I've that's happened over the last 20 days. Um, it's been an amazing trek, but today we are talking about fear. And I think something that keeps on coming up in my conversations with a lot of people, and I know this is going to sidetrack us a little bit, but the idea is that um, whatever you believe, okay, whatever, it doesn't make a difference, but the human person changes over time. Some people refer this as evolution. Other people just say it's progress, it's whatever, it's fine. But we as a species adapt very slowly. And a lot of the times those adaptations don't actually last. They're small and significant. They don't, right, they don't proliferate through the species. They are minimized in small cases. That being said, about 100 years ago, if 120 years ago, so in 1900, if you looked at the statistics, most of us worked in some sort of a laborious way, whether it be in agricultural, in industry, whatever it was, a trade, all those things count. And a very small portion worked in an office, behind a desk, in the ivory tower, very small. Uh, by the year 2000, those numbers had switched, and there was a very small portion of people. Now, this is very specific for North America specifically, because there's a lot of places outside that those numbers aren't. They're still very different, but progressively they are becoming where more and more of us are in a sedentary life, sitting behind a desk, talking on a phone, broadcasting on the internet. All right, and very few are working physically laboriously in that fashion. That the human condition, the human body can't evolve that fast. It doesn't change that fast. It doesn't adapt that fast. And every time we think about that kind of stuff, it puts into perspective where we are now versus what's asked of us. There have been studies that show that for people who work in an office, like in a sedentary life, even if they worked out daily, so they had great physique and everything, they still, because of that sedentary life, were at more risk from I think it was heart disease or heart attack, as somebody who smoked a pack a day, which is terrifying. I used to smoke more than a pack a day, I'll tell you that. So knowing that, it's that idea of an active or proactive existence is extremely important. Now, I digress back to our topic today, was that fear is meant to protect us in our everyday life. Um, some people uh, take it as some sort of bias in our existence, possible. Others consider it a weakness, also possible. And a lot of us think it's ridiculous too, also fair, because there are varying degrees. But when I look at fear, um, normally, and a lot of the explanation has become the idea of protecting ourselves. So, can it be skewed by our previous experiences? Of course, that makes sense, right? That goes back to the lesson, which I still don't know if that has become a good lesson or a bad lesson, where you would hold a youngster's hand over like a burning stove, so they know it's hot and not to touch. You don't put it on the stove. I know that's definitely wrong, but them knowing that it's hot gives them an idea of not to be wary of that area, right? It's the same idea. For my parents, it was the doors of the fireplace, because we had a wood burning, like a fireplace, and we had a nice. You would have a like a chain. I guess I'm dating myself, but you would have it like a chain link curtain that would protect from ashes and things bursting out, because that would burn your carpet. That then my parents got mad at that a lot. But the other one is we would have glass doors. Like there were some nice fancy things that would kind of insulate and radiate heat, and also would keep the smoke from coming into the house in case you didn't create a heat vacuum for the flue. That being said, when you would touch that, if you weren't careful, you could burn yourself. So knowing that it was hot meant you understood. Now, does that factor into a fear of heat and fire? I think rightfully so. And if anything, that would protect us. But when we extrapolate that into our daily lives, I think it's something important that we understand the idea of what purpose does fear provide? Because let's be honest, there are very few things that we can tap into, even to a degree, things like when you experience trauma, people will blank out their memories, and people who suffer from PTSD, it's a coping mechanism for that trauma that they may have experienced, right? There are a lot of things that happen in our mind that we don't understand, that's for sure. Um, but also that it definitely serves a purpose to protect us. Is it great? No, it's better to have not gone through trauma at all, obviously. But the real question is, if there serves a benefit in some way, shape, or form, how can we use it? Um, this is something that I've really come to try and embrace, especially over the last little while. One of the things I shared a reel earlier today, and I explained that um, over the pandemic. So when I started this journey, I was over 450 pounds. I may have been 500, but I cannot verify that. I don't have a scale that goes that high. I do have one that goes up to 450, and it made it say E, and that was for about a year. Now, in just as recent as October, I weighed in at 400 pounds, which means as of today, since October, which is about 9 months, I've lost 120 pounds, which is, uh, an adult, well, a woman that size. Like that's for me. When I did the math of it, I was kind of like, whoo. So on the grand scheme, I've lost anywhere from 170 to 220 pounds. But as recent as October till now, I've lost 120, and I'm terrified. And for the longest time, when it came to my size, it was something that struck fear because I'm a big guy. There aren't things that if someone was like, "Oh, that's unmovable," I can move it. I'm huge. I'm a giant. Um, that idea was so very comforting. And now, hilariously, for me, I'm sitting here and option A, trauma, option B, safety. The most common choice was shock, right? And that is the weird part is that we're afraid of fear, but we embrace danger, we embrace challenge, and that is actually historically, not to say it's good or bad, but historically has been the mark of those who are superior. It's a very perplexing concept, and that's why it's like, so if we don't fear danger and we don't fear a challenge, Why do we fear fear? And that's a weird circumstance. And that's John, you put it perfectly. So thank you very much for the comment. But that idea, that perception is something that I feel we can recategorize or recomprehend into a different situation or different category. Because if we don't characterize fear as fear, but instead as a mm, obstacle or a goal to reach, I think that's reasonable. Serge, how are you, sir? I'm so glad you're here. But that's the whole concept, right? Is that, like, for myself, um, I'm afraid, like, being a large person, I'm not afraid of circumstances. Like, someone's like, oh, someone might get their ass kicked. I'm like, I'd like to see them try. That'd be hilarious. Why? Because I have a cinder block face and giant Mickey Mouse fists now. So it's ridiculous. But also, I'm a little older, not, and I'm getting in shape, I'm getting healthy, but not the case. And then that's scary too. So the only solution to combat that fear for myself was to be proactive. So starting to work out, starting to be more active, little things like that. And that is really the message, I think, for today, is that we have to abandon fear as a boundary or concept, but rather recategorize it as a challenge, a goal, or an opportunity for growth. Because if we recategorize it for our own mental perception, then it's a debate as to when we'll meet that challenge, how we'll meet that challenge, and what obstacles are in our way from achieving that goal. And I feel like that's more, puts fear in its category, where fear, or the mentality of fear, or the perception of fear, is meant as a protection to us, right? Hearing that sound, I know for myself that I may not hear you if you're standing right beside me, but 30 feet away, if someone whispers my name, I can hear that conversation. And that's maybe also a little bit of trauma, but the idea is that it gives, it's about that idea of things that protect us, and fear, I believe, is one of them. So I believe that is the one message for today. So I'll leave it there, is that recategorize fear to be our ally instead of our enemy, because there is nothing to fear. Seems reasonable. So thank you all for watching. And if you're watching this in the future, please feel free to subscribe to my channels. I'm on social media everywhere. This is broadcast on my YouTube channel, Facebook, and my Twitch channel. So you can all find them under Dino the Genetic Marvel. And as I said, like, subscribe, share it to your own pages. John already did, because he's kick-ass guy. And I'll be back daily. Tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit later, probably around 11 or 12, just because I'm going to go do live comedy, which is going to be at the Cameron House. If you're in Toronto, please feel free to stop by. There's going to be improv and then comedy. I'm going to be working on new material, so it may be horrible, but there's a chance it'll be very hilarious. So you can either laugh at my jokes or laugh at my pain, but you're more than welcome to come. So in the meantime, have a great day and recategorize fear. And I think there's a huge benefit to it. Have a great night.